So this time last year, we knew that the incoming class, we wanted them to use Chatter for career development conversations. And that was it. That was the scope at the time. However, we were already hearing about releasing things and seeing what survives and what doesn't. For me, I don't like the idea of releasing something and thinking it might die, so I felt like we should at least give this our support. We were going to try and help this live when it's out in the woods. So actually, about this time last year, we laid out a fairly comprehensive plan, and I'll show you that plan. It's not high-tech. It literally involves Post-its on bits of paper. And now Chatter has 129 groups. It has 891 users, so that's more than all of our students. It includes our staff. It also has started to include some non-Tuck students at Dartmouth who've joined specific groups as outside users. And actually, it has become the platform of choice for a lot of discussions about a lot of things, not just career development, to the point where next year, I think it will be the official discussion platform for the program office as a whole, not just career development office. And really, we're getting to the point where the only major gap is academics, and we're also having professors come to us and to the people who use Chatter saying, hey, we want to start using Chatter. So it's a success. So why did we think about launching Chatter, other than that we just like playing with new toys? If I think back to my experience when I was a student, and here, I was engaging with the Career Development Office. The predominant form of communication was email, and it was generally a weekly email. Here's what's going on. I could open that and check into it, or I could ignore it. I would also then come in and have the standard person-to-person relationships, which are great, and those counselling relationships, etc. But there were a few things wrong. First of all, just generally, students don't like getting emails. They get too many emails about too many things. So, and I think this is probably something that you've heard a lot of yourselves. Even better, the sort of the social side of this, which is where it really comes into its own, is someone might ask a question, I might answer it, but another student might answer it, and other people might weigh in, and then we actually get a better quality discussion and answer than what it would have been if I'd just given the answer. And equally, that then stays there as an archive of that discussion. So if somebody, let's say we have a discussion about what's it like to be a consultant and the lifestyle and the ups and the downs of that. If someone joins the consulting club halfway through the year, they can go back and read that discussion. It's there forever. So that's a useful feature. The last two bits I think are interesting. So, and I'll switch the order. The answering questions that student didn't know that they wanted to ask is great. So somebody might have asked, hey, where do I upload my resume? But someone else might not have got to that point yet. Or someone might ask something more esoteric, and it's a better quality discussion. This last bit was really important for us about relationships. So Eric and I actually did some work this time last year with the student population, really finding out how satisfied they are with career services and what drives that satisfaction. And we found one of the things is that the students who had a good relationship with us tended to have a better satisfaction level with us. They understood what we did. They engaged with us. So wanting to increase satisfaction, we also decided we want to increase our sense of relationship with the students. We want them to know who we are. We want them to see that we're out there, we're open, we're not just sitting in our office. So I think a sort of a meta reason for using Chatter is actually like a PR thing to say, hey, we are open. Here's photos of us. I'm talking about my personal life. I'm sharing jokes with you. So this is our plan, which I thought I'd show you because it's fun. The yellow things, these yellow things, so I'll just give you a bit of context. This is week by week. This is the final week before they arrive. So backing up 10 weeks over the summer while they're all off trekking in Nepal or finishing up their job at Goldman or whatever. So the yellow is in previous years, we had sent them an email in the 3 weeks before they arrived. This one was probably saying, hey, here's who we are. This one said, oh, you need a resume, and this one is, you really need a resume. So we divided it up into logistics of how you use Chatter, relationships, here's who we are. Orange is, here's how you do your resume. And you'll see the colors kind of come and go over the thing, but we wanted to ensure that there was a mix through the summer. So you would definitely be getting a lot of the relationship stuff. You would definitely be getting sort of tips about it all. And so that by the time you got here, you didn't just get here, open up your computer, and then there was a new piece of software that you'd never heard of before. And we were quite strict with ourselves. We said, we are not going to use email. We are going to use Chatter. You know, we are the ones who need to push this, so we need to be quite strict. And that was quite tough, just psychologically, culturally. You know, we use email a lot. Email's a useful thing. So we forced ourselves, when we could, to go to Chatter. In general, I think the only emails over the summer were basically, you need to go to Chatter. This is the Holy Grail. So 3 days after we'd started, a student asked a question, and the other students who haven't even come to Tuck yet start answering for us. So, and I think, great. So this is automated. So we can really enjoy the summer.
That's amazing. It's a huge benefit, actually, for me. A lot of people come and ask me questions on Chatter. Oh, sorry. Star Trek Enterprise, just morning. Yeah, a lot of people come and ask me questions on Chatter and mention me, but what I find is that most of the time, like I was actually looking at my Chatter because I wasn't on this morning, and all those questions got answered by other people on my team, and it's just a really useful way to kind of scale your time. And, you know, I think that people are altruistic as well. I really believe that, and they want to answer questions and be helpful. And, you know, increasingly, you know, we're looking at how to gamify that. We have some dimensions of that already. Or, you know, it increases your influence if you go and you help people and you're involved in these discussions. But, you know, we want to give people credit for that. And maybe, you know, some of the people will be the best mentors and they'll be recognized for that formally. And that's a good thing for you.
The tipping point, I believe, is when they got here, they said, and when the second years came back as well, they looked at it and said, okay, we understand it's for career development, but I run the hockey club, the Tripod Hockey Club. Hockey is huge at Tuck. It's like the big club. Should we be on Chatter? And we didn't want to be pushing something that, you know, because we're not Chatter salesmen or whatever. We just said to them, look, if you want to use it, you use it. It's up to you. And so the social clubs chose to use it. And that, for me, I think, is the tipping point between it being a career place and a place that might have bobbled along, and suddenly it's really useful. Because also, in the old days, if you wanted to form a social club at Tuck, you had to put a proposal together, you'd get a budget, it was official, you had your email list. Now, if anyone wants to create a group of, hey, people who want to go hiking this weekend or people who like eating at Chinese restaurants, they just create it. And if it blossoms, great. If it doesn't, it just sits there. So I think also so that was a success.
What's interesting is the data shows overall in most social networks, not just Chatter, but less than 10% of all posts have a hashtag, even on Twitter, which is a very, you know, hashtag kind of focused culture. So the interesting thing is that people explicitly do tag topics, and that's useful. We use it. But it's very important that you implicitly are able to derive topics. So that's something that actually we do in the background, but you can also see the search dimension. And what's interesting is if you go to the very top here, see on the right, you can add actually to Chatter favorites. So Stephen, click on that on the right. Add to Chatter favorites, and now go to your profile, or go to Chatter home. Yeah, that's fine. And down on the lower left, see your favorites now, McKinsey. Okay. So, you know, that's actually how people search on topics and actually, you know, traverse a lot of conversations. And the interesting thing is that didn't just have to be McKinsey. You could have said, you know what, I only want to show searches that are McKinsey and consulting, or McKinsey and that. And sometimes you can use that to actually knock out things that might not be the right conversation intersection.
So some of the things that we've learned on our adventure are, as I said, for us, for some reason, everyone posts to groups. It isn't this kind of personal update on what I'm doing. And so the following and follower thing doesn't come into play that much. And actually, it hasn't killed email. And there are a number of reasons, and I think the students will talk about those again. It doesn't work. The thing it doesn't do is immediate. So if somebody has got Chatter open or Chatter desktop, that's great. Like you'll see when we were talking, I had a notification that someone had posted. But if a student is not running this, and I sent out something saying, hey, Kendall's giving a great speech, come down to this room now, half the students aren't going to get that. So when I need to do that, I will still go back to emailing maybe a group or a list, a bunch of people. So if that was an ability, maybe an emergency override, email the group, that would be handy every now and then. Go for it.
I'm just going to say on the email thing, it's interesting. It hasn't replaced email even inside of Salesforce. Our email is down about 35%. So that's exciting because I think everybody hates email and you just get too much of it. But we do things like there's private messaging, and actually in this release, we already have a pilot of Messenger, so you can do like real-time communications, one-to-one chat, one-to-many chat. If you have a group, you can actually do group chat, and all those types of things. So it's very useful. But the email thing is interesting. The thing that we did was we had a lot of distribution lists, and our practical use case was we said, how many of these distribution lists can we eliminate? And a distribution list typically is a group of people who work on something. And, those are kind of your obvious signals of what to create groups for. And I think everyone knows that a distribution list, there's lots of people who reply all to distribution lists. Mm-hmm. We know who you are.
What worked for us, I think we just did it. We asked forgiveness rather than permission in a way. It caused some waves. Some students, especially second years, came back and we didn't launch it to them very well. They were a bit upset. Even the students who came in the first year, we just now added to their burden of channels, etc. But on balance, it worked. And the thing that the panel was talking about this morning of just, if it's useful, people will use it, and then you will find out how to make it better. So I think we're now on that journey. We didn't really have many guidelines to them. You saw that one piece of guideline I gave them, that was it. We've never policed it. We don't administer it. Or, they can do what they want, but nothing, it's not like the old days where you thought you had to have sort of policemen going around the various chat rooms. We were advocates, amongst the staff, amongst the faculty, amongst students. We were the people who were wearing the Chatter hat saying, yay, Chatter, go Chatter, use Chatter all the time, even to ourselves. We don't need to be anymore. We could take ourselves out of it and it would still carry on. So what would we do differently? We wouldn't get so...
On the part about being advocates, we set up training sessions with each department, administrative department at Tuck. And so we didn't train students, but we did train center directors and anybody who had an interaction with students and helped them brainstorm about ways they could use it and things they could do.
So what would we do differently? We did forget the second years, really. We spent so much of our time launching it to the first years that the second years came back from their break. There's already 270 interlopers in their space, and now we've changed the thing that they're used to doing. So sorry about that, Eric. So we could have done that better. And actually now I think we've added a system, but we haven't taken away any yet. And that, I think, is the next thing. If you're going to start, adding more, you need to kill the old ones. Hopefully we can do some of that. So what's next? We're going to take it out of being just CDO. It's happened really without us needing to do it. Students have said we like it. The MBA program here will now kind of run it, I think, and it will just be the Tuck system rather than the CDO system. That involves, at the moment, Becky is the chief administrator. It doesn't make sense. Yes, let's look at some of the old systems, and yes, let's try and get some professors engaged, because I think this is a great thing for them.